we're so used to it in like a school or a university or even a workplace setting to have this idea of like levels of ability. That if I've passed all my classes in the first year of school, then I get to graduate to the second year of school. And then when I've done that, I get to graduate to the third year of school, and so on and so on and so on. And that's not wrong. That's a fine system for a cognitive or intellectual learning process or a skills gaining process where we're going to go, right, yeah, got the foundations. Now I'm going to move to the next stage of development. I feel like I've shared this in a video somewhere else before. Like, if I had an electrician coming to my house, I want him to have gone through all those stages, those graduations of done the foundations, done the first year, done the next year, got the qualification. I really want that for somebody who's going to come and play with electrics in my in my property. So there's a usefulness to having some kind of levels, some kind of step from one stage to the next. But it doesn't apply to this. It doesn't apply to the truth of who we are. It doesn't apply to how we're met in that experience. Because it's just not true. You are already everything that you want and need. You are already the truth of your infinite nature. You are already the freedom, the peacefulness, the love, the joy, the clarity, the power. It's all already there. Like it's who you are. And then in terms of who you're here to be, that's already baked into your system too. That's already been there from the instant you were created as a human. So there's no need to graduate from one level to the next because you're already it. What we're doing is disidentifying from, clarifying, releasing, integrating, yeah, stopping believing all the stuff that says we're not already that. We're deconditioning the system. We are unlearning this learnt stuff, which makes it look like I'm not already okay and I'm not already everything I need to be. That's what this whole exploration is about. It's not an acquisition like we have in school or college or university or work. It's a deconditioning. It's a dropping away. It's a falling away. It's a revelation, revealing. I'd never made that connection, by the way, between those two words until a couple of years ago. Have you seen that? That if we're revealing, then there's a revelation. In what gets taken away, it reveals. There's a revelation of what is behind it. And that's what we're doing here. We're bringing love into the system, which then dissolves and transmutes all the stuff which isn't really true about who we are, either in the truth of our being or in who we are as a human. And in that dissolution, then the clarity of who we are is revealed, is revealed, is revealed as we go deeper and deeper and deeper through the journey. So there's no need for conversations about levels, or am I ready, or is this too advanced, or will this be too simple for me? Because everybody who's coming to this Enlightenment event, in fact, I don't know if I gave that context, this has kind of come up because people have been asking about the Enlightenment event. They've been saying, but is it too much for me? Will I be out of my depth? Others have been saying, is it not enough for me? Am I too advanced for this? Am I too far progressed? No, it's open for all because unconditional love meets you where you are. The truth of who you are meets you where you are as you are. And all of this event, every single month, is about meeting yourself as unconditional love, reminding yourself of the unconditional love that you are. So that not only are you being met by that in you, it's like you are meeting yourself really, truly. And it meets you exactly where you are. So I had this conversation once with a client where they were wanting to talk to a group of people about this kind of exploration. And there was this idea of, oh, but they're not ready and they can't hear it. And yeah, they haven't started exploring anything, and they're so intellectual and they're so just interested in keeping their businesses going and making as much money as possible. And so they're not ready, they're not going to hear it. Whereas that was an example of her feeling like she was a stone, meeting some other people who were like a stone, and well, that's not going to work, is it? We're just gonna the message is going to bounce off. They're not going to hear anything. And the metaphor that came to mind in that conversation was the fact that when we are like water, then we meet the stone as it is. When water flows in a river, there's no gap between the water and the stone. It doesn't like come to the stone and go, oh, it's a stone. Right, I best go right the way around the edge of this. It's like, no, that water just comes right up to the stone and it perfectly molds itself to the stone beautifully, just like effortlessly. And then as it does that, it's softening, it's loosening, what's the proper word? What's the proper word when a stone it's not weathered, eroded. So it's getting eroded, so that with time, the rock starts to shrink. I don't know how to make my hands smaller. Imagine the rock's getting smaller because the water's coming and it's eroding what's not true, eroding what's not true. Whatever in us has been so hard and rigid before, the unconditional love comes and meets it and softens it and softens it and erodes it so that the stone turns to sand that more easily moves in the water. And then as the stone shrinks because it's being eroded, the water still meets it exactly as it is, exactly how it is. No matter the size of the stone, the water will still just meet it. No matter whether it's an absolute solid granite rock or it's a pile of sand, the water's going to meet it exactly where it is. And that is the nature of unconditional love. That is the nature of the kind of space we're going to be in the Enlightenment event, where there's no ideas of better, worse, further on, further back, graduated, not graduated. The unconditional love meets you where you are. And then it softens you. It erodes what's not true. It turns to silt what has seemed like a rock solid truth. And that is the revealing. That is the revelation of the truth of who you are and the truth of the natural, unique expression you're here to be. So if you've been debating, am I too advanced for this? Or am I not advanced enough? Then please know you can take that question off the table, because we are not in school. We are not in an acquisition of knowledge and skills conversation. We are in an unconditional love meeting you where you are conversation. And so it will meet you where you are exactly as you are, with no need for any conversation about, but am I capable enough for this? Do I know enough for this? And equally, no need for conversation about, oh, I'm above this now. I've graduated past this now. There is always, in my experience so far anyway, there is always something available to be met within us with unconditional love. There is always something available to be softened and to be turned to silt so that we can be in that more fluid, natural experience of who we are. So yes, please do not concern yourself with that question if you're considering the Enlightenment event. And please get in touch if you have questions, if you want to clarify, if you want to have a conversation to see if it really does feel right for you, for wherever you are. And I look forward to meeting you. Lots of love.